Good morning, guys. I had to be out today at a meeting, but I'm sure that you're on your best behavior for whoever's watching over you, that you're showing your best respect. I do expect that from you guys. I don't want to hear any reports tomorrow of anyone that was acting up, playing around, any of that. So for today, you're going to be continuing on into the next chapter, but it's still the same sort of things as far as congruent shapes, similar shapes, shapes that we're making with transformations. So go ahead, open to page 522, and then at the end I'm going to provide a link for this video, so if you're needing it to help you out, that you'll have that at the end. So everyone needs to be open to page 522. If you're missing your book, you left it at home for whatever reason, just follow along with this video, and then I will have extra copies of the work that you need to be following along. So on page 522, you should see a picture that looks like this. Talks about the definition of congruent figures and their corresponding spots. Their corresponding parts. So right here in words it says, if two figures are congruent, their corresponding sides are congruent, and their corresponding angles are congruent. So first up, this word congruent basically it means the same, exactly the same. So if it's saying these two triangles are congruent, that's how you read this right here. It says triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. Well, that's saying that angle A is going to be exactly the same as angle D. And you can see they show up here, angle A and angle D. They just give one little line for each of those angles. That's showing the one line angle and the one line angle, that those match up. It's saying that angle B is going to be the same or congruent with angle E. And if I look at angle B and angle E are both 90-degree angles. They're both right angles. Finally, it's saying angle C and angle F are also the same. They're congruent. So the way they showed this, remember angle A had one line, angle C has two, well not lines, but little curves here, two curves, and angle F has two curves. All right, so A matches up with D, B matches up with E, C matches up with F. Those are all congruent. Finally, the sides are going to be congruent as well. So if it says AB right here, if A and B are next to each other, then D and E is going to be the same as AB. So if I'm looking right here, side AB, again, they gave us one line. Side DE is exactly the same size, and they gave one line. Size BC, right here, they gave two lines, is going to match up with side EF. Again, right here, they gave two lines showing EF and BC are the same. And finally, AC is going to be the same as DF. And if you look right here, AC has three lines, DF has three lines. All right, so all of that we know just from the fact that it said that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. All right, so on page 524, I want to work through a couple of these examples with you. Hopefully you'll see it's really easy, and then you're going to be doing the next couple of pages on your own, ready to turn into me tomorrow. So starting here with number 1, it says triangle RST is congruent to triangle UVW. Write congruent statements comparing the corresponding parts. Then determine which transformation or transformations maps triangle RST onto triangle UVW. All right, so let's start with the first part where it says write congruent statements. That is what we were just looking at. So those congruent statements should look like angle R is congruent to angle U. So congruent is just like an equal sign with a little squiggly mark on top. Angle S is congruent to angle V. I know which ones match up just because it goes in order. So R was the first one, it matches up with U. S was the second one, it's going to match up with V. T is the third one, that's going to match up with W. So, where's I? So right here, angle T is congruent to angle W. Then we also need to write down the sides. So side, again, they're going to match up. Side RS, the first two, is congruent to side UV. That's the second two. To show it's a side, I'm just putting a line over those two. Then side ST, as you can guess, is going to be congruent with side VW. It's the last two matching up with the last two. And finally, side RT, so the first with the last, is congruent to side UW, again, the first with the last. In the picture, what that means is, so side RS, right here at the bottom, RS, is exactly the same length as side UV. Let's count that to make sure. So RS is 1, 2, 3, 4 units long. Side UV is 1, 2, 3, 4 units long, just like we expected. Side ST is the same as VW. So ST, this kind of long slanted one, is the same as VW, the other long slanted one. And RT is the same length as UW. So RT, the short slanted one, UW, the short slanted one. All right, that was part of the question, but it also says that we need to, it says then determine which transformations maps triangle RST onto UVW. So if I'm looking at that part, I'm realizing like, okay, R went over and matched up with U, so it kind of moved all the way over there. S went over and matched up with T, or with V, T stayed on the top. So it sounds like there was a reflection that happened, and then a translation. So you could write that part out. Let me get rid of this so you can see. But so you're writing out that there, for determining which transformation happened, you could type there was a reflection followed by a transformation. Sorry, by a translation. Just like that. So it flipped over and then it moved up and to the side. All right. In the table, we're looking at number 2. It says, in the table, design showed in example 3, suppose BE equals 18 inches. What is DG? All right, so we've got to look at example 3. So here's example 3, and really all we need to know is this statement right here, that it says triangle BCE is congruent to triangle DFB. That means all the sides are the same, all the angles are the same. So when I'm looking at this question, it says if BE is 18 inches, what is DG? Well, BE, that's my first and last. DG, that's my first and last. They're going to be the same. They're congruent. So if BE is anything, DG is going to be that same amount. So right here, that question simple. If BE is 18 inches, then DG is also 18 inches. All right, and I hope that's helpful. So for the rest of class, you guys are going to be quietly working on page 525 through 527. Let me write that out for you guys. It will also be on the board. So you guys are looking for page, you're going to be working on page 525 through 527, and that will be due tomorrow, as well as the work from yesterday. So due tomorrow, you're going to have page 525 through 527. I think it's pretty easy. You'll get through it quick. Some of you guys can finish in class, as well as the work from yesterday, which was the multiple choice questions I gave you to work on while your classmates finished the test. So that was called Chapter 6, Standardized Test Practice. Standardized Test Practice. Make sure you've got your work shown on that because you're turning all of that in and you're only getting points if you've got the work. Hope this is helpful. I'll leave a link for this video on the board in case you're needing to see any of this again as you do that work. And again, be super respectful for the sub. He knows you're expected to be staying in your seats, working in a whisper. I will let you guys whisper help the people next to you if you show them maturity for that. Don't have a note left with your name on it. Peace.